Feel free that as you are joining us tonight, feel free to drop your name in the chat and also let us know where you are coming from. Why are you excited to be here tonight? And if you are a young person that's joining us tonight, we ask that you rename yourselves to your first name and maybe like first initial. Um, so I appreciate you all. We're gonna go ahead and start getting started. So like I mentioned, we are joined by an amazing team tonight. My name, haven't introduced myself, is Ariana Santos, and I am a community engagement manager here at Unicef USA. And I am so excited to be co-hosting tonight's webinar with some awesome team members. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to David to introduce himself.
Hey guys, my name is David. I'm from Baltimore County, and I am so excited to be serving you guys on UNICEF USA's National Youth Council this year on my first.
Hi everyone, I'm Ariana. I'm from North Carolina, and this is also my first year on the National Youth Council. I'm so excited to meet you guys tonight.
Hi, I'm Samia. I'm from Houston, Texas, and this is also my first year on the National Youth Council.
Hey everyone, I'm Aryan. I'm on the Youth Council as well, and I'm from Southern California.
Hi everyone, my name is Kripa. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I'm also on the National Youth Council. Super excited to get started today.
Awesome. So this is our wonderful team. You'll get to hear from them in the chat. You'll get to learn from them. Super excited. If you have a question, you can feel free to reach out any of us. And we also have some wonderful UNICEF USA staff that are also going to be supporting. So tonight will be kind of part one of a series of shows and webinars that we'll have throughout this school year. And this year, something that we are starting is we are trying to build some more skills and some more learning around UNICEF's key pillars. And they are educated, healthy, respected, and protected. UNICEF believes that every child should be these four things. And we're going to be learning about the work that UNICEF does around this. And we're going to really be mobilizing. If you're a club leader, you probably have seen our club's calendar for the year, and our focus for September and October is educated. And so this is our first of UNICEF in Action trainings. You will see that in the remaining months, our next one is going to be healthy. Wink, wink, hint, hint. And so you'll get to learn about that. And that will be from November to December, and then January to March is going to be respected, and then April to May is going to be protected. So super, super excited. Before we start tonight's training, we do want to establish a couple of norms in this space as we enter. One, we really encourage active participation. This is way more fun if we get to hear from you and get to hear your insights and your ideas. We want to establish a level of respect as we're entering this space. Different folks will have different points of views, different perspectives, and we want to be able to respect that. We want to accept responsibility if anything that we say maybe is misinterpreted, and like how can we kind of address that. We want to be open to learn from others. Vulnerability is a superpower. This is a space where you may be able to share if you feel comfortable about a little bit about your journey, particularly as it relates to education. And we also want to be mindful that other people might be doing the same. And so as you are kind of entering this space, you might want to keep that sacred, and whatever is shared in this space kind of stays in this space. And then throughout the presentation, we do ask that you are mindful about muting yourself if you are like moving or anything like that. Unless you are speaking, then don't mute yourself because we want to hear from you. So those are a couple norms that we are entering here, but there is an opportunity if you have a norm that maybe you would like to add to this space, you can share it now. And so you can either do it via chat or you can raise your hand and I can call on you and we can add into this. So think about what would you like to add into a learning space that we will share together? It can be anything that you like. Or if this feel pretty representative, you can give me like a thumbs up, like love these work for me. And then that way I know if they do work for you. Yeah, for sure. Yes. That is a great point of what is shared here stays here, but knowledge that is learned can be shared. Absolutely. So when we're talking about what we're learning today, we are definitely sharing that with others. If we hear anyone's personal stories, is their personal stories, and they should be sharing that. So that is super fair. Love that. Thank you. Alrighty. Well, if you think of any more, I'll give it maybe like 30 more seconds. If you're like, oh my goodness, this is coming to me. Cool. Alrighty. You can drop them in the chat at any time and we can continue to have those. So thank you all so much for sharing. And I saw a couple thumbs up earlier too, so I appreciate that. So the agenda today, so we just did the welcome and we talked through some norms. We're gonna dive into some objectives next, and we're gonna do a little warm up to get ourselves prepped and excited. And then we're really going to learn a little bit about UNICEF at a high level and really then narrow down into education and how that relates. And then we're going to do a little debrief at the end. This is going to fly by. We're already 11 minutes in. What? Crazy. So super excited. So let's do it. Let's learn about the educated pillar. So some objectives that we are hoping you'll walk away with tonight after tonight's presentations is one, develop a greater understanding of UNICEF's work around education. And so you'll get to hear some tangible things that UNICEF is doing and some of the focus areas that they work in. So we're hoping that you kind of walk away with some of that. Hope that you're kind of making connections to young people's educational journeys and how it might look different at certain stages of their lives. And I really encourage you to reflect on your own journey and how you can really kind of develop that and how can you connect it to your own personal journey. And I think that will be really awesome. And then the last one is to create conversation on the intersectionality of education and UNICEF's cross-cutting areas. So you'll get to learn a little bit of that and you'll have an opportunity to go into some breakout groups in order to learn a little bit more on that. So that is our agenda, packed agenda, and we will move from there. So we are going to get started with our first activity, which is going to be a Mentimeter. So I am going to go ahead and pull it up and pass it along to Ariana, who is going to lead us through it.
Hi, everyone. Get excited for Menti. Scan the QR code or go to the link shown on the slide here. And we'll give you a few minutes to get your input. I'm curious to hear what was the most meaningful or impactful memory that came to mind from your education journey.
Well, I don't know.
So once you all join, they're going to start populating here. So feel free to give us a little thumbs up, and then you'll still have the code over here at the top, and David just put it on the chat.
Let's see. Our first one says it's not about the end result, it's about the journey you took to get there. Very inspirational. I feel the same way now that I reflect on my whole educational career, now that I'm in college and seeing all the growth. It means a lot. Anyone else? Slow start. Learning about education at this webinar. Yes. Education goes beyond subjects but life experiences. Support from teachers and peers. I agree. I think our teachers play big role models. Being grateful for the education you receive and understanding how far it can take you in many ways. Learning how to love learning rather than mentally following a guided routine. And having a support system of mentors, teachers, and classmates. Getting help when needed. All of these are great responses, guys. Learning with friends. I agree. Learning in a collaborative experience can be really transformative. And the one at the bottom there, oh, thank you so much, Aria. Never scrolling. Learning is a powerful tool that aids us in our futures. And I think I want to see this one. Understanding that you might not get something at first, but you must push through to succeed. Having access to the resources. Oh, sorry. Having access to the resources I needed in order to excel and not being scared to ask questions. Well, I see a lot of overlap in your guys' responses, but also unique memories as well. Support from a teacher who taught us to think outside the box. These are all great responses. When the teacher graded students based off their efforts/progress versus reaching certain standards, really showed us that our effort matters. Everyone's in different spots, and that's okay. That's really important to recognize, that we're all at different points in our learning journey, and where and how we've received that knowledge so far can take us to different places. 21 responses. I think we're gonna wait maybe one more minute to see if we get any more responses. I think that's all for tonight. For now, I'm gonna pass it along to Kripa.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ariana, for leading the Menti. We'll talk a little bit more about UNICEF specifically. So just thank you for joining the webinar again. But UNICEF stands for the United Nations Children's Fund, and it was founded in 1946 after World War II. And since then, UNICEF has really been at the forefront of protecting and promoting the rights of every child and just ensuring that they grow up in a world where they are truly safe, supported, and just given opportunities to reach their full potential. And this can be from just providing access to education and healthcare to ensuring clean water and sanitation. UNICEF really works tirelessly to make sure that no child is left behind. And the organization is governed by the executive board, which consists of representatives from 36 rotating UN member states. And the structure just ensures that UNICEF's policies and programs reflect the needs and perspectives of children from around the globe. And every decision that they make is made with a global and inclusive mindset, which really ensures that the most vulnerable populations receive the care and the support that they need and they deserve. So UNICEF's work is not only collaborative, but it's also rooted in neutrality and impartiality. So it's really free from any political influence and just taking sides in that sense. But UNICEF's efforts focus solely on improving the lives of children and communities worldwide. So it prides itself on being a very trusted humanitarian force that serves all children equally, regardless of background, religion, nationality, etc. So beyond crisis response, UNICEF is really committed to long-term development and addressing systematic issues like inequality and poverty. And its work is driven by a core belief in equality, inclusion, and fairness, which are all values that are essential to building a better world for future generations. So this slide kind of talks about the UNICEF education timeline. And as you can tell, UNICEF has been a champion for children's rights for a while, especially when it does come to education. So we can look at that in 1959, the United Nations made a really big landmark decision, which was the rights of the child. And this declaration solidified children's rights to protection, education, healthcare, shelter, and proper nutrition. And it really became the foundation for UNICEF's future efforts, highlighting education as a critical right for every child. And then by 1961, UNICEF expanded its focus and recognized that education was essential to breaking down that cycle of poverty. They launched a global aid for education program, which was aimed at providing educational opportunities to children everywhere. And this effort at that time was a very bold step towards ensuring long-term growth and success for future generations to come. In 1973, UNICEF extended its educational support beyond traditional schooling. So they introduced aid for non-formal education. So this initiative particularly focused on rural children and youth and provided them with opportunities to kind of learn outside regular school systems, ensuring that no child was left behind. In 1983, UNICEF wanted to accelerate advancements in education even more, so they endorsed a joint initiative with UNESCO, which, if you don't know, stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And the program focused on primary education and literacy, really aiming to uplift marginalized communities by promoting essential skills. And then finally, in 1994, UNICEF and UNESCO came together to address a critical challenge. You might have seen this before, but they created the School in a Box, which is an innovative solution designed to provide children in humanitarian emergencies with the resources that they need to continue learning, no matter where they are or what challenges that they're currently facing. And this effort does actually continue today and brings hope to children even in the most difficult situations. So these 5 time periods, and there's still a lot of development happening today, but these pivotal moments really show UNICEF's dedication to education and how their efforts truly have been unwavering in ensuring that every child does have that right to learn and grow. And with that, we have a video that we want to show you. It'll take a minute or two, and then I'll pass it off to Samia.
أنا اسمي منال، عمري 6 سنين. أنا لوحة تمهيدي في مخيم سعدري. تعرف أعد من 1 ل20. أحب ألعب مع البنات نرقص مع بعض. أنا بدي أتعلم. السنة الجاية هي يصير صف أول. Jina yangu George Mbewe. Ndamyaga we are 11. Ndiri grade 5 kuona akaumwa West Primary School. Ama mi bapona kunyuguru. Ama mi nandikuwa ya winka uyolo ategwa mbera amazuba ndakuba kwasha. Kajabu ni atariga. Ndari mu grade 3. Daji bakubala ayinokizumana nabo yawumbili kajabu yandigwahili yakubala akulembana ndabanda bamayinkamba yandigwahili yawo kuji kulemba akubala ndakomana chikolo kendakuba bayitegwa ndime kawihe bamwe batachiko.
That was an awesome video. Would anyone like to share any thoughts they had while watching it or any feelings that were invoked? And if you don't want to come off mute, you can also type in the chat as well. If not, we can move on. However, if you do have a comment, you're more than welcome to continue to put it in the chat. Regarding the learning crisis, in recent years, as you might know, the world has made tremendous progress on educational access, increasing resources around the world. However, inequity still remains an issue, and as many as 250 million children around the world are still out of school. In most cases, these children happen to be girls, refugees, children with disabilities, and those from the poorest and most remote communities. But for the first time in history, there are now more non-learners in school than out of school. However, despite that accomplishment, over 600 million children and adolescents worldwide are unable to attain minimum proficiency levels in reading and mathematics. even though 2/3 of them are attending school. So what exactly is the learning crisis? It really refers to children in school who are not gaining the foundational skills needed. In fact, estimates suggest that nearly 2/3 of 10-year-olds in low and middle income countries are unable to read a simple story, a condition commonly referred to as learning poverty. COVID-19 only further worsened the pre-existing learning crisis, as post-pandemic assessments show that the learning poverty rate has increased from around 57% to 70% today, meaning that the vast majority of 10-year-olds in low and middle income countries are unable to read and write. So what exactly is UNICEF currently doing? So the UNICEF's Age of Focus is an initiative centered around UNICEF's work closely with the government and partners to ensure that 5-year-olds are ready to learn, every 10-year-old is ready to succeed in school, and every 18-year-old is prepared for life and work, aiming to have all children and young people receive the necessary skills at each phase of life. Now let's meet author.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Samia. And so the way that we're gonna kind of take you all through these three kind of areas of focus is giving you all some personal stories of some young individuals. I think something that I really took from that video that we just watched was that like real passion for education, and that happens at a really early age. And so with the learning crisis, we're really talking about those foundational years being disrupted, and that really having an influence throughout the rest of their years. And so in this case study, we have Arthur, who is 5 years old and is from Ukraine and is currently in Romania, where they had to flee after the war. And you can see here, he is in a play learning and parenting hub in which UNICEF has been able to establish support for education and learning to help distract young children from the war and some of the things that they have been able to see. And these hubs really create social inclusion and help promote it through early education and care, both supporting Romanian and Ukrainian children living in Romania. And so let's talk about kind of that first age. And so the early childhood development age. And so the root of the learning crisis starts in early childhood. If you think about the human brain development, the phases between birth and 3 years of age is really, really crucial. Like quality pre-primary education is the foundation of a child's learning journey at every stage of education. And not having it, like losing some of this early in life, will often translate into lower levels of skills, often exacerbating poverty by reducing earnings, as they might not be able to get different types of jobs because maybe they don't have the necessary either skills, or sometimes they are limited. You must have completed like high school education or a college education, and you kind of are already starting at an early age, kind of at that disadvantage. And on average, it costs just about $100 to achieve 1 year of quality pre-primary education per child, which the return on investment, if you think about that, is huge. If you have a child that's enrolled in at least 1 year in this kind of early childhood, they develop critical skills that they really need in school. They're less likely to repeat grades or drop out. And there's evidence that suggests that as adults, these individuals really contribute to more peaceful societies and prosperous economies. And really, despite the evidence, nearly half of all pre-primary age children globally are not enrolled in early childhood development initiatives, especially in low-income countries. About 1 in 5 young children are enrolled in preschool. And so UNICEF kind of steps in and supports that pre-primary education in around 129 countries. And they do service delivery. They really are trying to build a commitment to this stage of learning at the government level, and really be able to provide evidence of why this is so important and how it really pays off in the long run. And so the early kind of childhood development is key in order for a child to really be able to kind of move through. Next, we're kind of gonna talk about, so kind of like Samia mentioned, we have those like 3 kind of key stages in the development of a child. So we just talked about early childhood and what happens with given the proper support, and what happens if you don't give the proper support at that stage. Next, we're kind of gonna dive into the school age. For a case study, we're gonna meet Rapa, and I'm gonna play you all the video.
بحب القراية أكتر، بحب العلم، وأنا استفدت القراية إنجليزي ورياضيات. أنا مبسوطة وفرحانة عشان عندوني شنطة، ومبسوطة عندوني كراريس، ومبسوطة عندوني أقلام. هناك زمان في الخرطوم أنا حسي هناك في الخرطوم ما شايلة شنطة، ما شايلة شيء إلا بس وزي القلمات حق أنا نقول عشان لو مشيت هناك الخرطوم ما راح نلقى زول يقريني، لو كبرت بقى درجة أستاذة، يعني نقري الطلبة ونقري الناس هي الطلبة، ونقري الناس الماء فوق يقروا نقريهم نحفزهم. أنا بالنسبة لي التعليم أنا هسي دايرة أتعلم، تحمي نفسك من الحاجات الكثيرة، تفهم القراية.
Oh, how sweet is that story? I love it. But her story is one of many, and one that all of us at certain levels maybe experience. I know education was transformational for me. I would not be where I am today without having had an education and being able to go to school. And that is a big privilege that I was able to have growing up. And something that UNICEF sees as a really foundational space for us to be able to provide for children. So we just talked about early childhood education and how that provides kind of this like best possible start to the educational journey. So you can kind of set some of those guiding things in education. But then it isn't until you're in school that you really set that foundational learning, you know, from starting from kindergarten all the way up. And one of the ways that kind of UNICEF thinks about a framework that they use is this rapid framework. And this represents a pathway of key priorities that ensure that all children can acquire foundational learning skills. And this was developed alongside a couple other organizations to really help support the education system, particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic. And this framework continues to really be relevant in responses to current outgoing educational challenges, which include the learning crisis and the lack of foundational learning. And so what we're really focusing in is for the R is reaching every child and keeping them in school. We know that if children are not in school, they're not able to learn, then they're behind, and they're not able to set that foundation. For A, for assess learning levels regularly. If you're not kind of checking for understanding that, you know, young people are gaining the skills and they're actually able to kind of move on, then you are not checking for that, and you don't know if you're able to provide them with the necessary kind of resources, if you are able to you know, if they are able to meet that next level preparation, and kind of that's where like the assessments comes in, and kind of really testing that. The P for prioritizing teaching the fundamentals. So really thinking at its core level, how are we prioritizing like basic reading and language skills in order, like numeracy skills when we're thinking about math, like what are those like foundational things that we really need to have? For I is increasing the efficiency of instruction, including through catch-up learning. So kind of like A, right? We're trying to assess whether or not young people are retaining the information that we are teaching them. But with I, it's like, okay, if they are not at that level, what are the levels of support that we're able to provide? You know, maybe it is like tutoring, maybe they have a coach, maybe there's like different learning opportunities that they have. And so how do we really equip a classroom in order to be able to support young people like that? And then lastly, really when you're thinking about schools, they should promote children's overall well-being. And so they should have a space where essential services are given to children so they are able to thrive and they are able to focus on their education. And so when you think about kind of a school age, you're really thinking about the work UNICEF is doing, and it's about establishing those foundations in their work. And then I'm going to pass it along to Oriana to talk to us a little bit about our next case study.
Hi, so meet Tete Su Ong. She was 14 years old at the time when she was forced to flee her home in Myanmar due to the pandemic and armed conflict. And at the refugee camp, she was experiencing a loss of education, but eventually discovered UNICEF's Excel program. And through this program, they target out-of-school adolescents ages 10 through 17 who have been affected by armed conflict, and they give them opportunities to learn about reproductive health, HIV prevention, as well as digital job skills as well that would be useful for the future. And Tete Suong found this really inspirational and gave her the opportunity again to pursue her dreams and aspirations, and now is a young person like us who wants to pursue becoming a doctor. So I think this is a great example of the approach that UNICEF has given for people like herself in refugee camps to still have opportunities, even if deemed non-formal, to still pursue school.
Awesome. And kind of this showcases kind of this like last stage of when we're talking about kind of building proficiency in a young person's educational life. And really the goal of education is equipping young people to build skills so that they are able to pursue kind of their own dreams and be able to really focus on themselves and how they want to you know, maybe get a job or pursue any type of path in their life that they kind of wish to have. And so when we think about the adolescent stage, UNICEF really focuses on the adolescent development and the participation. And there's 4 kinds of skills that UNICEF sees as critical so that young people are able to succeed in school, in work, and in life. So when we're talking about foundational skills, so think about when we talked about school age just now, is namely building skills around literacy and numeracy, which are essential to further any type of learning in a productive employment or civic engagement. We're in a very much digital area, and so building out digital skills is key. And also knowing that accessibility to things like, you know, a computer or internet, like it is not as widely available in some places as like we might have them here today. And so really building out some digital literacy. And so that way it enables young people to use their kind of their skills and understand technology and learn how to search for information so that they can really build on that and just create and share content and just build their knowledge in a different way to really think critically. Job specific skills. So these relate to really thinking about the technical and vocational skills, and these are associated with occupations. And so when you're thinking about going into the workforce, these are kind of the skills that you're looking to develop. So if you're looking to be a doctor, maybe you are going to be, going to medical school and obtaining those like science. If you're going to be an engineer, maybe it's going to be math related. And so really thinking of those like specific ones. And then our last one are transferable skills, which are like life skills. And I think that is, if you are trying to prep for an interview or you're trying to like write your resume these days, something that you really think about is those transferable skills. So like, what did I do in my school club? What did I do at my volunteer at a food bank? Like maybe what did I bring into that? And how can I bring this to this internship that maybe I'm trying to get, or to this project I am trying to do? And so these are really skills that you're able to take into any path that you're able to do. And so we're gonna see a video of a cool way that UNICEF is kind of putting this into practice with something called Generation Unlimited. So we're gonna learn a little bit on that.
There are 1.8 billion young people in the world today.
Most of us live in lower income countries.
200 million of us aren't in secondary school.
A lot of us didn't even finish primary school.
There are more of us, but fewer of us are working.
I'm not allowed to have one.
These are our generation's problems.
But our generation has a solution.
And you have the power.
So let's co-create.
Refine.
Scale up. We need classrooms that are online and on point.
It doesn't stop at literacy or numeracy.
We need new skills too.
Problem-solving skills.
Soft skills.
Math skills.
We can connect every school in the world to the internet.
Swipe right into a career.
Our generation is 25% of the population,
but 100%
of the future.
Generation Unlimited. I just need to be heard.
And that is a really great example of the ways that UNICEF is really working on that. And so we did enough talking on kind of this, but what we really are wanting you all to do is now take a lot of this learning and really take it one step further. And so we're going to have an opportunity for you all to go into some breakout groups to really discuss some of your takeaways from tonight and really make some connections into your own personal journey. As you kind of think about UNICEF's work, think about kind of what Kripa shared earlier about kind of UNICEF's mission for what they do. Tonight's focus is around education and the importance of that. But during this activity, you'll also be taking a look at the intersectionality of education in these 5 key areas. And so you'll be looking at climate action, disability, gender equality, peace building and resilience, which for tonight's webinar will be under one umbrella. Under kind of emergency response. And these are 5 of UNICEF's cross-cutting areas. And what does that mean? That means that UNICEF really focuses and narrows it on these specific areas and helps provide solutions and supports, helps activate young people around this. And tonight you'll be making the correlation between these cross-cutting areas and education. And so we will send you all into some breakout groups for you to have some discussions. Your first questions is really, what connections are you making between what you learn about UNICEF's work and the intersection with these cross-cutting areas? 2 are, what are some key takeaways that maybe you have from your conversation? And then anything else. As you are walking in, you might be in there with individuals you haven't met before. So feel free to kind of introduce yourselves. And you will have a short video that will be linked on the on your worksheet. If it's not on the chat, it will be on the chat soon. And you'll be able to kind of log in. If it's easier, have just each of you watch independently your own video. And then that way you don't have to worry about kind of like sharing a screen or anything like that. So I will pause there for maybe any clarifying questions. No questions. Okay. I don't think I will go ahead and share on the chat the worksheet so that you all have it available, and let me know if it opens for you before you go into your breakouts. So excited to have you back. We're gonna go ahead and give everyone about like 30 seconds or so until the rest are back. And then we'll go on the debrief. As you are joining in, the way we will do our debrief is through our mentee. So it will be the same mentee you were in before. So if you have it, you can just click next and it should take you to the next question. And if not, it's going to be mentee.com. And it's going to be the code 8117-1257. Welcome back. Okay, I think everyone should be here. Welcome back, everyone. If you have not logged in yet, feel free to go into mentee.com. And I am going to pass it along to Ariana, who's going to lead us through the reflection discussion.
Hi everyone, let's see. Give you guys a few minutes to log on to the mentee and type in some of your takeaways for our conversation. I think we have our first one in. Someone said they learned about the importance of applying inclusivity to our own communities. The next one says education can be affected by numerous social issues, climate, gender, etc. I saw similar patterns in the discussion we had in my group as well. We watched the inclusivity education video. Next, how Unicef eliminates a lot of barriers to give educational resources. Very true. I learned about how it's important for the family to be involved and caretakers to support for kids with different levels of accessibility. It helps the child feel supported. If you could scroll down a bit, Ariana, that'd be great. Thank you. The importance of looking at the economic, social, and cultural contexts that affect the child's life when addressing education and involving support systems, such as parents, community leaders, etc. I'm seeing a lot of overlap here in involving these important people in our lives, including parents. Accessibility is a pillar of inclusivity, the importance of having a support system and foundational education again. I loved how the inclusivity was provided using ramps for student, etc. All encourage students to continue going to school. We do not necessarily need to have specific education groups or organizations. Inclusivity and programs that have diverse classrooms add to the value of education. I agree with all of these. I think there's a lot of overlap with all of the topics. And we see how, despite limited resources, UNICEF plays a big role in providing those resources that are missing and giving everyone the opportunity, despite barriers due to gender, due to environmental impact. I realize we have some amazing youth advocates on this call. I very much agree. Shout out to all of the National Youth Council members today who joined and helped with this presentation. Let's see, the last one here. I like the information from the climate change video. It shows the resilience of those involved in order to have educational foundations. The weatherproof classrooms allowed many of the students I'm gonna say that they're probably trying to say allowed many of the students to thrive, which I agree. An important barrier. And I think I will let Ariana take it away to share with us what's next.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. These are some really powerful takeaways, and I am constantly inspired just by the connections that we all make. And I think personally for me, education is such a big, important path of my journey, but also something I feel really passionate about other young people across the board, any age, to be able to have accessibility. It really can shape your life. And I'm just really inspired by being in a room of other people that also share those similar ideas. So thank you all so much for sharing that. And I hope as you're kind of walking away today, the hope is that you maybe learn something that you didn't know, especially around UNICEF's work, but just education in general, and have made a connection maybe with another person in a breakout room, or maybe you really identified with a comment that was shared either in the Menti or in the comments, and really take that with you forward. And the hope is that you start conversation with with other people around you, with your families, with your friends, really take it one step further and talk about government and talk about some policy changes, and really hope you feel empowered to do that. To kind of keep on our education journey, we have generated some activities that you all will get to pilot. These are hot off the press, okay? You all are getting the first eyes in previews on this. And so we have 4 key activities that you all can take back into your own clubs, into your own communities, to really help activate around education. If you're like, hey, I really want to like educate other people around education, how do I really lead a session, start out something? We have an activity for that, which addresses barriers to education. If you're like, you know what, I love fundraising, I am here to raise the monies, this is my skill, you have another activity on how to do that. And particularly, we have Trick or Treat for UNICEF, which is happening. Woo! Who's excited for Halloween? I am excited. That is coming up. If building community is really your vibe, then what better way to connect with other members in your school than through some excited UNICEF Jeopardy? Say what? I am very pumped. I'm very excited. And if you're like, you know what, I am ready to change the world today, okay? And you want to develop some advocacy and really go on a journey, learn kind of how to craft your story. You probably already know it, but really think about it. How can you meaningfully craft your story as to why you're passionate about education, and really dive into this activity of self plus us plus now, which I am super pumped and excited. And so this is kind of your next journey. So I can't wait to hear about all the awesome stuff that you are gonna do, and also see all the pictures. And as you all are trying out all of these activities, let us know, give us some feedback, let us know what you're doing, show us photos, and feel free to post them on your socials. Jen would love to see them, we would love to see them, repost. So super excited, but just very grateful to you all for spending tonight with us. We are so excited to be doing these UNICEF in Action trainings this year, and we hope to see you in more of them. Okay, so this is part 1. Okay, there's 3 more parts, so be there or be square. So I appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we hope you have a great night. Thanks, y'all.